How you doing, YouTube? This is Gunner67 bringing you another YouTube video. Today's YouTube video is going to be on Spain and Portugal Blackout. Items you'll need before it happens here. Alright YouTube, let's get into it. Alright, so on Monday of this past week, Portugal and Spain and parts of France had a massive blackout that affected more than 50 million people. Now, to my understanding, there is no real answer that the Spanish or Portuguese government gave. They did say that they believe that it was due to an atmospheric event, and I might get this wrong. The way I understood it was that they said that there was some oscillation in the power grid, which possibly could have been caused by like a massive 5-degree drop in temperature and some other things transpiring, which caused 60% of their power production to simply vanish in like 5 seconds. So at no point in time am I going to try and say I understand what transpired, because I don't. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an electrical engineer. I'm not a scientist. I'm none of that. But what I will say is that a massive blackout that affects 50 million people and 3 separate countries is a big deal. And I think events like that are a perfect example on why you should be prepared. And for me, when I look at a blackout of that magnitude, a regional blackout, a blackout that covers countries, or if you look at here in the United States that covers whole states, then there's certain things that, in my opinion, you need to have in order to weather a blackout like that. Because when something goes down, that catastrophic happens to your power grid in your area, your region, there is a chance that a prolonged blackout will transpire. So these are the items that I believe that everybody should wind up getting to be able to weather a blackout, whether it's short term, like what happened in Spain, Portugal, and France. To my understanding, the blackout only lasted about between 8 to 12 hours, so that's manageable. But when something like that happens, you can't predict how long these blackouts are going to be for, so you want to be prepared. So the first item that I believe you'll need before blackouts come to your area is a way to protect yourself. And for me, I utilize firearms. I live here in the United States. I live here in the great free state of Florida, so I choose a firearm. Now, ensure that you get ample amount of ammunition for it. Me personally, for every firearm, I believe or every single firearm, at the bare minimum, you should have 500 rounds for. And on top of that, make sure that you get training with it. So just don't buy the firearm or the ammunition and then that's it and you stick it in a drawer. Go out and get some training too. And don't stop at 1-2 classes. Get continuous training. Continue to take your firearm to the range and get proficient on it. If you live in a region, a country, or a region that has prohibited firearms, me personally, I would be looking at something that gives me a ranged weapon. I'd be looking at crossbows. I know that in a lot of European countries, you used to have a license for crossbows. But if that is too difficult, then I would look at something like bow and arrows, like a compound bow and some carbon fiber arrows with some target arrowheads or some broadheads, things like that. I would ensure that I had some type of personal protective item that I can employ against an aggressor to give me range. So again, mine is a firearm. The next thing I do believe that you need to get is food, just like what I have right here. Here is some Mountain House freeze dry food. Me personally, I believe that you should have at the minimum a 2-week supply of food. That 2-week supply of food, in my opinion, needs to be something that can has very minimal cooking requirements. With this Mountain House, all you really need is to be able to heat up water and pour it in there and let it hydrate. And then in about 10 to 15 minutes, you can go ahead and eat it. Canned food is perfect for that as well. The majority of canned food is already cooked. You can actually eat it cold. MREs, same thing. MREs have a heating element in there that you can utilize to heat the food up there. So a minimum of 2 weeks of food. The next item that I think you'll need is water. At least 2 weeks, just like with your food. Now, what type of food you get is going to be predicated off of how much water you store. If you have MREs or freeze dry food like that, you want to kind of stockpile a little bit more water. And that's because you need water to rehydrate or heat your food. So with that being said, I personally would get at least 2 weeks worth of bottled water. Minimum, people say 1 gallon a day. Me personally, I would double up that. I would make sure I have 2 gallons a day per person, because you also got to think of hygiene and cleaning up and things like that. So 2 weeks worth of water, preferably bottled water. The next item that I think that you should need is going to be a radio, just like what you have in front of you, a Red Cross, NOAA radio. This will give you access to information that is put out from your local government, and it will let you know if there is evacuations going on. It'll let you know if inclement weather is coming, and this could be a good form of communication. I do believe that when the blackout happened in Spain, Portugal, and parts of France, even their cell networks went completely down. So you had millions of people that did not have access to any information. They didn't know what was going on. Just having something simple as a radio could give you some peace of mind, can let you know what's going on and the progress that your local government or regional government is having in order to fix the situation. So a radio, in my opinion, is key. The next item that I think that you should have before blackouts happen in your area is some type of way to cook and heat up water, purify water, and fix your food. What I have right here is a small 1-burner Coleman stove. It comes with the burner and a regulator, of course, built together, and that comes with a small stabilizing bottom that you go ahead and just put the 1-pound propane bottle in, and now you have the ability to heat up your food, purify water. If you have any boil orders for your water from the local government, and this will go a long way with keeping you nourished, and if you have to gather water from your utility system if the water's still running. So yes, ensure that you get a camping stove, and also ensure that you purchased a couple of the 1-pound propane tanks. The next item that I think that you should have before blackouts start happening is some type of solar generator. What you got in front of you is an EcoFlow River 2 Pro, and then here is a Jackery Explorer 500, actually Explorer 550. And between these two solar generators, I can run 80% of electronics in my house. with this one right here, I can hook my refrigerator up to it, and it runs just a little over 8 hours. And if it's an extended blackout, then I can go ahead and move all of my frozen food into my portable overland refrigerator cooler, my Iceco JP42, which takes a lot less energy. It takes a lot less power. At the max, even when it's ramped up, it only takes about 55 watts. And if I use that with this Jackery, it gets well over 60 hours of runtime. And then this one right here being 550 watts, I can go ahead, once this gets to a specific level, about 10%, 10-15%, I can switch this one to it. And then I can utilize my solar panels and recharge this one. And this gets almost 2 days. I think the max I've ever gotten out of this was 42 hours. So, but between these two, I can run my refrigerators, I can power up my phones, I can go ahead and power up batteries of my power tools and my fans, my drone, my iPads and laptop. I can power up my batteries for all of my other electronic devices. So having some way to charge and power your essential electronic devices is key in a blackout. The next item that I think that you need before blackouts start happening in your area is have some type of battery operated fan. What I got right here is a Ryobi 7.5-inch hybrid whisper fan. In the back, I have a 6 amp hour battery, and this battery alone, if I only put it on 2, it has a really good airflow. It pushes air quite far, and just being on number 2, I've gotten over 12 hours out of one battery. So if you just stock up a couple of 4 amp or 6 amp batteries, you've got several days of being comfortable. Now, a lot of people will sit back and say, hey, you know, all that fan is going to do is push around hot air. You know what? To a point, that is true. But when you sweat, your body, that's your body's way of cooling yourself down. When you sweat and it evaporates off of you, that's what cools your body down. When you lay down at night and the power is out and your air conditioning is out, again, I live here in Florida, hot and humid, starting to get hot, and it's always humid. If you ever have tried to go to sleep in an environment like that, it is extremely difficult. You're miserable, you're sweating, it's hot, you're uncomfortable. You might get an hour or 2 of sleep and then you wake up. But having something like this blowing on you when you're sleeping allows you to get comfortable enough to sleep a decent amount of time. It's not going to cool you down if you're up doing work and all that other stuff. I mean, it may give you some relief here and there, but these fans are meant to keep you cool when you're at rest. So just be cognitive of that. So that is one of the items that I believe that you should have before blackouts happen. Your next item that I believe that you should have before blackouts start happening in your area is some way to heat your residency, heat your home. Me personally, I have a fireplace, and I've always got a quarter of wood. That way I can utilize my fireplace, but I always have a backup, like what you have right here. This is a Mr. Buddy portable heater, and this thing gets extremely hot, and it's perfect for small rooms, bedrooms and things like that. If you put this on low, this one single 1 pound propane tank will last. The longest I've ever had any of them last is 6.5 hours. So you get about 5 or 6 of these, and this should be able to hold you over for over a day, because blackouts aren't just exclusive to the summer months where you're dealing with the heat. Blackouts can happen in the wintertime and the fall too, when the temperatures drop. So you want to make sure that you have the ability to heat your homes, just like with this Mr. Buddy heater. The next item that I think that you should have before blackouts start happening in your area is a sleeping bag, which what I have right here, or if you can't get a sleeping bag, a bunch of wool blankets. This sleeping bag is a USMC 3-piece 4-season sleeping bag. It has a green bag that is meant for the spring and summer. It's got a black bag that's meant for the fall. And then it has a third bag, which is like a Gore-Tex bivy sack, which keeps water and all of that and moisture off of the other 2 bags. And when you combine all 3 bags together, this bag is good to like -25 below. This is a fabulous bag. And then you couple this with a Mr. Buddy heater, you should have no problems dealing with a blackout in regards to the cold in a grid down scenario. So sleeping bag or wool blanket. The next item I think that you should have is flashlights or lanterns. Like what I have right here. I've got a Coleman lantern. I have a Streamlight lantern. And then it can even go red if you need to be a little more covert. And then you want to make sure you have flashlights. This is a Yuko flashlight lantern. And now you can hang this up. And now this becomes a lantern. Or like this right here is a Olight Seeker 4. It's mega bright. It's got like, I think it's 4,000 lumens. It's mega bright. So, and then not only just the flashlights and the lanterns, but you want to stock up on batteries. That way you can power them, or have something like this EcoFlow River 2 Pro that you can hook up some form of battery charger and charge batteries if you get rechargeable batteries. And the next item that I believe you need before a blackout happens in your area is some form of first aid kit. Now, this first aid kit I bought, but then I've put other stuff in there to augment this. And I suggest most people do the same. Or you can just build your own completely. But get something that can treat minor injuries, minor sicknesses, things of that nature. They have kits that go all the way up to stabilizing people with major injuries. But have something on hand, that way if an accident happens, because accidents just aren't relegated to, you know, when the grid is up. A lot of accidents happen when the power is down and help is very far away. You want to have the ability to treat a lot of things that transpire during there. Cuts, bruises, broken bones, headaches, stomach aches. If you have diarrhea, things like that, you want to be able to treat it right then and there so things don't get worse. So a good medical kit is always an item that you would want to have before a blackout happens in your area. The final thing that I believe that you should have before blackouts start happening in your area is have a decent amount of cash and or gold and silver. Now, the reason for this is because you might have to buy stuff. The power is going to be out, so credit cards and ATMs will not be working, so you won't be able to get cash. So have some of that on hand, preferably smaller denominations. Have some 1s, some 5s, some 10s, and maybe a couple 20s. But you can also have physical precious metals. This is a 1 ounce American Eagle, and this on it is actually considered legal tender. This one right here actually is good for $1 US. So if you had to, you can go ahead and spin this as if it is $1 US. Now, this is worth a lot more than $1 US, but if you had to in a pinch, you can use that. But you could use this to buy anything you want. Most people know the value of silver and gold. So again, I go ahead and invest in physical gold and silver. Every paycheck that I have, at the end of the month, I buy a couple of ounces of silver, a little bit of gold. So I make sure I have money outside of the system. Here is a 5 ounce Pony Express silver bar. And then also too, they have these new types of precious metals called goldbacks. Here is a 2 Florida goldback, and that is 1/500th of an ounce of gold. And a lot of states here in the United States take them. Here is 1 goldback, which is 1/1000th of an ounce of gold. Here's another 1 goldback, which is 1/1000th of a gold. So a lot, you could utilize all of this to purchase goods and services during a blackout when the ability to utilize credit or withdraw cash from banks or ATMs has completely stopped. So those are the items that I believe at the bare minimum that you need before blackouts happen in your area. Just to go over some of them, the first one, I think you should have a firearm and ammunition or whatever personal protective device that you can get a hold of that's allowable in your region. 2 is at least 2 weeks worth of food. 3 is at least 2 weeks worth of water. 4, some type of camping stove that allows you to cook and boil water. 5, a radio which gives you access to information on what's going on in your area and what the federal government or local government is doing to fix it. Or it can be there, you can get information on where you need to go if there is some type of evacuation order in your area. 6, solar generators with solar panels. They allow you to power up your essential electronic devices. 7, battery operated fan to keep you cool in the summertime. 8, Mr. Buddy heater to keep you warm in the winter. 9, sleeping bag or wool blankets, again to keep you warm in the wintertime. 10, flashlights or lanterns. 11, first aid kits. And 12, cash, gold and or silver. All right, YouTube, that's about it for today. Please, if you like this content, or actually if you like this video, please hit that like button. If you like this content, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. In the comments below, let me know what you like, what you don't like. Do you think that these are a solid items that you will need during a blackout or an extended blackout? Could you survive with these 12 items? Am I forgetting anything important? Please let me know in the comments below. All right, YouTube, this is Gunnery Sergeant 67. I'm out.